Being back here in Thailand has reminded me just how phenomenally awful I am at underwater navigation. I do not have the gene for finding my way around places. We have a family urban myth that's not an urban myth at all, because I was in the car with my mum and my gran when I was going for an interview at my new boarding school when I was 9, maybe 10 years old. And the pair of them, I love them both dearly, but their sense of direction is god awful bad. They both thought they had it sorted. They were navigating by the rivers and the look of the farmland and how many horses were around, because we're going to Cambridge, a place in New Zealand that's renowned for its horses. Not a navigation tool. And 10-year-old me was getting stressy in the background about not being there on time. And eventually mum pulled over and asked a road worker how far they were from Cambridge. They had a meeting in about an hour, and this really lovely guy on the side of the road, eyes just about popped out of his head, and he said to mum, "How fast can you drive, lady?" Which told me we were a really long way from where we were supposed to be. So I have not been gifted genetically navigation, which is unfortunate because Dad's pretty good at it. And we get under the water, I get even freaking worse at it. It took me a long, long time when I was working and diving back here to learn the sights. And even then, I never got particularly good at it because I could navigate once I learned it. But until I learned it, someone just showing me a map or a picture, it was super, super hard. And same thing now when we go diving. I am just very grateful that Thailand has this rule that you have to go with a guide, because one, they always show you the best stuff, and two, I don't have to think about where I'm going. I can just enjoy the experience. And it reminds me a lot, honestly, of life, of running a business, of parenting, how so often I'm like, man, freaking, if someone could give me a map and a guide. You know when they give you the baby and you go home, you're like, is someone going to come with me? I don't think I should be trusted. It's almost like that with business sometimes as well. Like, someone going to come with me? This feels like something an adult should be doing, but I'm the only adult here. I adore getting under the water. We see some really cool stuff, but don't let me be the one that navigates for you. Which becomes kind of ironic that we own a boat. And if you've been around here long enough, you will have heard about the boat, the Rock Adventure Cruise. We operate out of Paihia in the Bay of Islands in New Zealand. And one thing that took me so long to get comfortable with living on the boat and running the cruises in those first days, because I didn't grow up on the water, was figuring out the nautical charts. This is probably why I never did my skippers and Johnny's did his. When you first look at it, it's a lot. There's numbers and depth markings and hazard zones and currents and lights. It's very easy to look at and think, oh my God, that's complicated. I'm just going to go that way. That looks about right. But the problem with just heading in the direction that looks right on open water is that without the chart, you don't know what's underneath. And underneath is where the boat gets wrecked. Today, I'm handing you that chart. Today, I want to talk about the full picture of what gets you from where you are on the journey to where you want to go, the real deal, with a business and life that's built for generations. Because knowing the destination without the planned route is really just frustration with a vision board attached. The framework we're talking about is called the Easeful Standard, and I want to dive in to exactly what that looks like. It's not a productivity system or time management tool or another list of the 10 things that you should implement this week, or a checklist to feel guilty about by Wednesday midday. And this is not advice built for a single woman with no children, no community commitments, no school pickups, and no aging parents on the phone at 3 p.m. It's built for us. The Easeful Standard is the complete picture of what a business and life built for generations actually requires for us in our actual lives, not some Instagram version of what people think it should look like. And it works across 3 really clear domains: picture, posture, and presence. This works across 3 domains. We call them picture, posture, and presence. Picture is the journey of what you see. From just society's scripts, the inherited expectations, the default and expected life, to your own personal standards, your chosen and designated life. From inheriting what everyone thinks we should do as a mum and a business owner, to intentionally creating the impact, the legacy, the direction you're building, not just for yourself, but for the generations to come. If we remove her intentional picture, you're back in your busyness business, working constantly, reactive, exhausted, technically doing well, looks successful, feels awful. So in picture, we're going to take you from to intentional. That first domain allows you the permission to decide what you want. You should want your own personal clarity of your picture, of what you want for the people that matter most to you in your business, in your life. There is so much in this domain about permission, about actually what do you want? Many of us have not thought about. We're so busy doing what needs to be done for everyone else, we've even forgotten a little bit to want for ourselves. I remember a client, Erica, going, "You were the first person who asked me what I wanted when I was building my business." This is the base. Everything starts from here. We've got to build what you want. And so we want to be really intentional about that, because if you don't have a clear, intentional picture, well, we're building something that is going to absolutely make you miserable. Taking your picture from that inherited picture to that intentional is absolutely a shift we have to make in that first domain. The second domain is posture. Posture is how you stand, how you show up. We have to take your posture from a compliant good girl to the creator of your own legacy. We want to take your posture from where your business is fully reliant on you and all your yeses to a structure that holds you now and into the future. We want to take you from that good girl, people pleasing, says yes to everyone, holding everything together for everyone, into the posture of a radiant matriarch. She knows what she's creating because she's already got her intentional picture, and now she knows who she's becoming. She stands and shows up in a way that makes the whole room rise. And her whole business comes with her. The posture of her business shifts into that as well. Remove your posture and you're going to drop back into Martyr Mode. Doing everything for everyone, everywhere, means we're back over functioning, breaking our own standards, and looking after everyone but ourselves. We're back being indispensable, but exhausted. When we get the posture right on this journey to a business and life that's built for generations, you'll stop carrying load you were never meant to. You'll start creating structure, but not rigid, engineered structure, breathable structure that moves with your seasons, your chapters, what's going on for your kids, school terms. When we get your posture to radiant matriarch, it will honor all of those things, and your business will have the same posture about it as well. That domain really helps us think about your capacity, making sure you're not just getting the scraps, and more importantly, the enduring strength outcome that we talked about in terms of the business thriving beyond you. What I think is really interesting that happens when we make this shift in this domain, when we start to pull out those tools, those accelerators, those buckets that exist here in this domain, is that the things that we do for the business actually also start to spill over into your life, into the home as well. And we don't just see employees and contractors and customers and clients start to lift to the level of these business owners, we actually see families do it too. We see kids start to come up to the level, partners come up to the level. They start to rise up to meet you, and that is pretty darn cool, where the influence of your business journey is actually super impactful in your home life as well, instead of being something that's distracting from it. So that's the second domain, posture. It's one I found really fun to move through and play through. It's a shift we all have to make. It's not one that you just flick a button and make. You can't. Well, I certainly didn't feel that I went from this good girl to this radiant matriarch. I think I'm still somewhere in that shift. And yet, as you start to make it, it's one of the domains where we incrementally move and the impact compounds really, really quickly. This one impacts broadly, and I really love it. Love watching it shift and happen for my woman. The third domain that we look at is presence. Presence is how you move, how you're making decisions, and how you're taking action. In presence, we need to go from avoiding presence, hiding, constantly proving yourself through hard work and effort, versus stepping into possessing, embodying her presence, making decisive decisions, taking action quickly, creating momentum. She's the role model for her children and her team. When we go in presence from avoiding to embodying, I think about it like, what are the actions, the decisions, the way that we show up that we would want our children and our team members to avoid? And what are the ways that we show up that we want them to embody? And when you embody in your presence, you are so decisive. You have the filters that you need so you can make decisions and then take action quickly. And when you do those things, it creates so much momentum. And when you start showing up that way, you are showing up with a presence that you want your children to embody, that you want your team members to embody. That role modeling of how you move and make decisions and take action in presence is crucial to getting your business to go where you want it to go and do the things you need it to do to have that business and life built for generations. Remove that presence without that presence, and you're going to end up back in your paused life. You know, you're back waiting for the kids to start school, leave school, move out. You end up avoiding the courageous conversations so people's feelings aren't hurt, whether that be with employees or customers. You stop holding standards at home and in the business. And so your life just stalls out. And there's no progress in the business or at home. And around each of these 3 domains, we have to make those paradigm shift. And in order to do that, to be really deliberate about it, we've gone around and we've allocated accelerators to each one of those domains. Each domain gets 3 accelerators, 3 specific named building blocks in each domain that have you make the shift from inherited to intentional in picture, from good girl to radiant matriarch in posture, from avoiding to embodying in your presence. Each accelerator in the domain is a very precise collection of philosophies, of principles, of frameworks, of scripts, and even AI tools that are for the exact problems the women I work with are actually hitting, that are stopping them from moving fully through those shifts. And so over the next few episodes, we're going into the ones that I know from the last decade of working with women like you move the needle the fastest. Here's the thing, is that the reason the advice you've tried before hasn't fully stuck is almost never about the quality of that specific advice. It's just that it was one piece of the map one piece of that nautical chart without the rest of it. Maybe it was delegation advice without clarity on what to delegate. Well, that just becomes more stressful. Now you've got more humans you're supposed to be delegating to, causing you more problems. And if they don't actually tell you how to then hold people to account with those delegations, now you're paying a wage and doing their job and yours. That's just incomplete. Go and get more sales or make more revenue advice without the paid twice structure underneath it is just more sales going the same place it always went, which is not into your back pocket. And all the mindset work without some structural change in your business just becomes very expensive journaling. The map matters. The way this all fits together matters because the pieces only work when they are together. Only when all three of those levers and paradigm shifts, driven by 9 accelerators, that we're building simultaneously, not sequentially. It's not a step-by-step, because you're already in this. You're already in the messy middle because you're going to be building these pieces simultaneously, not one after another. You do not have the luxury of getting your business right first and then sorting your life. You're doing it all at the same time, just like me. So the support has to be built for all of it to happen at the same time. The question today is, what is a daily practice that recalibrates your emotional capacity for work and family? Okay, so I think what works is different for everyone depending on where you're at. So I think what gets sold of what, like the daily practices that most people are telling you about is some sort of ridiculous morning routine, some sort of ridiculous routine about, and you see it all the time, posted by men or women without children, about how they get up at 4:45 a.m. or they're in the 5 a.m. club and then they cold shower, ice bath, journaling, gratitude, green smoothie. Now, I am not going to lie about it. I have a very specific morning routine. I also don't have young children anymore. I do not have a child that is likely to crawl into bed with me in the morning. She's 13. I'm probably dragging her out unless she has somewhere to be in the morning. I'm probably going up to drag her out of bed well after 10 o'clock. And I've already been at work for a little while. Chosen to live in a different time zone for most of my clients, which means I start my day early. I am a 5 a.m. person. I actually really enjoy it because it gives me the afternoon. So if that works for you, I'm not discounting that. And I'm also not discounting things like cold showers and ice baths. There is real science that backs up how that supports your vagus nerve. That helps with your nervous system. It's not bad advice. I just don't think it's the one thing that's going to change that level of emotional capacity that you have. I don't think you're struggling with a morning routine. I don't think the women I work with as a general rule are struggling with a morning. They know what their morning routine is. It involves getting up before everybody else, maybe having some quiet time, and then navigating getting a whole lot of small humans fed and out and dressed and out the door before she can think about where she's going. For me, this is less about what are the tactical steps and more about recognizing that this question and your energetic and your emotional capacity comes down to that your nervous system, your emotional regulating system is running a business and a household all at the same time. And when people give those scripted morning routines, it's not designed around that reality. I recognize that my household, my family, and my business are regulated to me. And so when I was in fight or flight or freeze and fawn, the entire household would meet me at that level. When I walked into the restaurant or onto the boat, when I was stressed, everyone would come to my level with me. I had to figure out how I was going to make sure that my nervous system was where I needed it to be before I went into whatever room I was going into. The other thing I needed to know was that I was moving from role to role very quickly, often. I didn't have a big, long commute. You literally open a door and you're back into 5 kids, and one's jumping on the trampoline feeling sick because they ate ice cream, and the other one is fighting with their brother over who broke the pencils. You don't have space and time to shift from the roles that you're doing either. The thing that worked the best was this very deliberate, where am I going next? What's the next segment, the next part of my day, the next chapter of my day? And finding what the genuine 60-second signal to my nervous system, to my brain, to my body, that I was moving from one role to the next. So when we had the restaurant, I made it the front door. The drive wasn't very long, a couple of moments from where the restaurant was to home. If I was driving, if I was walking, it was 5 minutes. It wasn't long. And so I used the front door as my cue to my nervous system that I'm moving from business Sarah to mum Sarah. I also had bracelets. I don't wear them anymore because they were silver and they used to jangle on the recordings. But I used to move my bracelets from one side to the other. So I was in business mode when they were on my left, and I was in mum mode when they were on my right. It could be deliberately, if you work from home, leaving your office from the day, going outside, standing on the grass, a deliberate, intentional practice that says, I'm shifting from business ownership and I'm now the parent. And vice versa, that signals to your brain. It could be ritualistic. You might light a candle. It might be driving from the gym, but we just want a point in time, a signal to you that you're shifting from business owner to mum. It gives your nervous system time to recalibrate and go, oh, right, this is the signal that we're going from parenting to business ownership, or from business ownership to parenting. And by having that shift, for me, I literally will put my hand on the door handle and go, what do I intend to bring into the house? Because without that, I was bringing the business energy into the family evenings. And if I had a stressful time down the restaurant, I was bringing all that hyped up energy into bedtime. Not a good idea when Scarlett was 2 and 3. And vice versa. If the morning has been stressful, if the children have not packed their lunch boxes or have somehow lost their shoes between maths and science yesterday and now they don't have shoes to wear to school today, you're going to take that anxiety into your business day. And it doesn't work well either way. When you just fizz between the two, neither role gets the version of you it actually needs. Find a transition practice. Just pick one for now. It might be the moment you go home, or it might be the moment you shift from your morning routine into business. Just pick one. Over time, you'll probably create a whole number of segments throughout your day that you use to tell your nervous system you're moving from one role to the next. But just pick one transition, one practice, make it short, make it deliberate, make it repeatable, and then just notice what changes when you have practiced it, done it over and over again for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks, because you'll expend less energy by making it transition instead of trying to get into the environment and then regulate. The big one here is knowing that when you're the leader at home, when you're the leader in the business, they regulate to you. And whatever you're bringing to that space, they're coming to you. Being really deliberate about it is going to make you actually need less capacity, because it's far, far easier to start from that grounded, centered place than take everyone up to some really heightened location and then bring them back down. How do I know? Because I've done that. I used to be really good at bringing heightened emotions into the household and into all the businesses that we've run. And it's far, far easier for me to lead in all of those roles and then intentionally move. If you would like us to answer your question, send it in. We'll pop the link in the show notes below. You can ask for it to be anonymous. You can present it to us anonymously, or you can put your name in it, and we'll answer it here. And I'm going to call it how I see it. I'm going to call it based on what I see works for us, the Tenacious Integrators, not what works for the highlight reel on Instagram. Because you and me, we need these simple, deliberate, intentional changes, because you and I, we're not building a life that needs to look good on the internet. You and I, we're building a life that feels good to live. You and I are building a business that feels good to show up in, and that is a completely different frame. I'd love for you to sit with that map, that journey of the shifts in each of those 3 domains. The picture, the posture, the presence, the shifts that you make in each of those, and knowing that there are 9 accelerators, 3 across each domain, that are a complete picture of how we get below the surface, how we get past the tips, tactics, the tools, and into an actual business and life that's built for generations. I've linked a little video in the show notes where I talk through how the 3 outcomes and those 3 domains and those paradigm shifts link together. So you can look at the whole picture and see how it all fits together. And when you have a look at that and think about where you are in terms of the ascent, and then you can think about which one of these domains, which one of these levers do you need to focus on first? Because you can coming in at it from any angle. You might be in the busyness business at the moment, and so we need to look at that picture domain first. Or maybe you're in Martyr Mode, and if you're in Martyr Mode, we want to have a look at that posture you're taking. And if you're feeling like everything's on pause, if you're in that paused life, then we definitely need to take a look at the presence. Where are you hanging out right now? Because in the next episode, we're going to start talking about some of those accelerators, some of those buckets of tools that helps you start to shift each one of those domains. In the next episode, we're going to go into the one that surprises us as women, because it sounds like a money conversation, but it's actually a fairness conversation. It's a worthiness conversation. It's called paid twice. And once I show you the philosophy and the numbers behind it, you are never, ever going to look at your sales the same way again. Till next time, stay moxie.